Hello, I'm Aaron from Lone Star Drift, and this is...
I am Sam, Sammit YouTube channel, based in Japan.
All right, Sam and I have been driving at the Adam LZ Invitational for a couple days. I guess it was one day long, but we've been here for a while. I just won a Corvette, whoa!
Yeah, that's
and Sammit was driving two different cars, but that's not, I think, what we want to talk about. I think let's talk about what makes you special, which is you're a foreigner in Japan, doing all kinds of cool stuff. Do you want to tell stories from Japan? Backhanded stuff that's like dramatic? Do you want to tell me about Ebisu currently?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me about why Ebisu got torn out to start with? Or Minami got torn out and what they're doing with it. Do you know everything?
Yeah, so I guess like the whole thing is like, you know, the owner of Ebisu Circuit, he's a business guy and the place needs to make money for him. And right now there's a huge, like massive, like wanting for more rally focused stuff in Japan. And there's a lot of money in that right now. It's gaining a lot of popularity. And if you guys know the history of Ebisu Circuit and Minami course, that actually initially was a rally track. And it kind of became a go-kart track and a drift track. And now it's going back to a rally track. You've probably seen some videos, people already out there having fun. Motocross stuff is going to start happening there and rally is just coming back to it. And yeah, there's just a bunch of cool, I guess like motorsport companies that are jumping behind that and funding all of that. So yeah, from a business perspective, makes more sense. D1 can no longer use Minami just due to insurance and finance and all that kind of stuff. So it just makes way more sense from a business perspective.
Do you want to explain that real quickly? Because D1's been using it for decades. Why can't they use it now?
Just like insurance is skyrocketed for that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of regulations with like where the crowd can be with proximity and also just how dangerous the track is in general. Like I think, you know yourself, Aaron, it is a very dangerous track and you have to be like very top tier to be able to drive that and not, you know, make contact with the walls or end up and down there. Like it's a very technical track, which is obviously why we loved Ebisu so much, because you could go through all the levels and drive Minami. But yeah, just from an insurance perspective and safety, it costs a lot of money. And then obviously the rental on top of that, it adds up, so.
Okay. What else do you want to talk about? You want to talk about foreigners wrecking the prices of Japanese cars in Japan? Did the Japanese talk about that at all, or do they acknowledge it? Do they actively like sell the cars to Americans or to Australians, or do they hate it and do they hoard the cars now?
Yeah, there's definitely two types of people. You know, there's a group of people that, you know, I would even say borderline racist about it, because they're like, oh, all these foreigners are stealing our prize cars, the things that we love, and they're really salty about how they've all become expensive. Then there's the other group of people that are loving it because they're making so much money from it. And, you know, the Japanese economy, it'd be kind of stupid to say that they're not benefiting from it. But it's weird because like right now it's in this weird period where most of the stuff that people want to sell are gone, and the only thing that are left are cars that should have been parted out because their bodies are so rusted and all messed up. So a lot of the stuff that's going through auctions is kind of junk tier. So just be very, very careful out there. I mean, if you want to touch on that, like I do a lot of videos showing people that the auction reports are even wrong a lot of the times. That's very easy to pay that stuff off. It happens all the time. It's all under table stuff. So just be very, very careful. And yeah, just know that people are trying to make money now, so.
I think they've always been trying to make money. All imported engines into America forever have always been like suspect and terrible.
100%.
I mean, it's awful importing engines, or I guess you could say like it's awful buying engines from importers. It's always the junkiest stuff. Because otherwise it wouldn't have come out of a running car in Japan that's low mileage and shipped over here. That's not how stuff happens. They're end-of-life cars that, you know,
100%.
they shipped over and stuff.
Yeah, most of those motors, like I hate that RBs and SRs get such bad rap, you know, in the States. But that the truth is that you guys are already in the motors that have already had rod knock and all that stuff. And a lot of guys just throw in like OEM bearings just to get it on the sale page and say, oh, it's a low kilometer, you know, good engine. The easiest telltale for that is like, you see engines in Japan that are actually confirmed good ones selling for more money than what the importers in the USA are selling their stuff for. And when there's a discrepancy like that, it's very clear that they're getting like bottom tier stuff. They may, you're not saying that they're dodgy or anything, because they're obviously, you know, probably getting taken advantage of too. But yeah, it just sucks, you know, like if you get a motor secondhand, I think it's just common sense, rebuild the thing from scratch, right?
Why don't we look at this for a second?
Yeah.
If you look at these cars, we're just randomly in Adam's garage and walking around. Are these cars in like a Japanese style? Would you see cars like this in Japan, or is this obviously like an American thing?
Bash bars is the first thing that goes, this is an American built car. This is so rare in Japan to see like a non-OEM bash bar. For the most part of it though, like this looks great. Like Adam really gets this to a T. One of the biggest things is like, so you know this, you've been to Japan a lot. The most common wheel of choice in Japan is the Workmeisters. So I love that. I mean, you know, he's got good aero, it's all like, you know, aero specific. Probably the only other telltale is the welding cage, and I don't know if you've got like gussets there.
Kicks his car.
Just, you know, did he sidestep there? My bad. But yeah, like, just like, you know, not many people go to the length of welding in a cage. Bolting cages are very big in Japan, so you've got that. But
Pop the engine bay and let's look in there.
This is where we're gonna obviously see a lot more that isn't standard in Japan, right?
This fender's off a little bit.
Adam, I love his attention to detail. Like, he cares about.
Oh no, all this
stuff.
stuff is, oh my God, this hood's so heavy.
Yeah.
Or at least with my left hand after an event.
So he's kept everything really nice in here. You know, factory battery location. This is super common in Japan. Instead of having it like horizontally here, you just flip it that way, so you got the room to put an intercooler piping there. You wouldn't see custom made piping in Japan. It'd all be kits like Gredi and all that kind of stuff.
So this is not a thing?
No,
Okay.
You'd have, you know, the OEM thing there, and if someone deleted the IAC, it'd be cut off and welded with a big glob, because no one's really a good welder in Japan. Top mount, kind of rare on a street car in Japan.
Why is that?
Just because everything's about bolt-ons in Japan. You know, like the whole thing, like step 1, step 2, step 3 mods and stuff, like that's where that all came from, and it's all bolt-on. And yeah, like top mount is more only what you'd see at the track, competition cars that are not registered on the street. It is starting to become more popular because a lot more American parts are coming in. One thing that you don't really see too much of in Japan, actually, unless it's a comp car, is welded elbows onto turbos like this. Just like things like this that like make so much sense to us, but yeah, and it's actually really fun. Like, obviously, as you know, I work with Okachan at Yashio Factory, and you know, he is really big on factory OEM ECU chip and tune until you want to go over 500 horsepower. So like all bolt-ons, low mount stuff for heat management and on the street, so you don't have any of that top mount stuff with heat management issues and stuff. But like, just bringing all of this kind of technology that we mess around with in the Western world to Japan and seeing how much like it changes their mind and thinking it's kind of insane. Like, Okachan's now running like a Plasma Man intake manifold, a top mount G25 550 and all that stuff, as before it would only all be low mount OEM factory stuff or custom, you know, welded and shot like manifolds. And yeah, it's really cool.
Would they use Garrett turbos there?
Everyone's really big on like, you know, Gredi, HKS and those brands, but to be honest, like Garrett is so ahead. I have to say, I'm not saying this because I'm sponsored by Garrett, but like just in my experience, Garrett stuff is like way ahead of those brands. And when Okachan started using the new G series, he was mind blown because he went from something similar size in those other Japanese brands to that. And he's even commented on his blog, like the Japanese like tuning industry, like the companies need to pick their game up. Like it's actually embarrassing to them. And Japan's all about pride and all that kind of stuff. So they find it embarrassing when they see like American or Western companies like getting ahead of the game. And they will actively say that now. You can't get any like, you know, side feed injectors. Nismo discontinued them. HKS has discontinued them. You have to buy them through Dishworks now in Japan, and that's an American-based company. So like all these parts that these guys want to build their cars like they used to, like with all the bolt-ons, have to now come from American companies and Australian companies, because no one makes stuff for these things anymore in Japan. So it's a very interesting time, actually. But yeah,
Keep pointing stuff out.
Yeah. One other thing is, dude, like everyone in Japan is so mind blown by trigger stuff now. Because everyone's changing to aftermarket ECUs. They've finally seen the light. They're getting like Link plugins and Heltec plugins. But the biggest Achilles heel is your trigger kit, your OEM, you know, 360 line with the little laser shining through gives you all these issues at high RPM. So changing the trigger wheels or getting whole trigger sets with the crank and stuff, that's blowing people's minds over there in the old industry, like the tuning industry. Yeah, I mean, these radium, like the swivel things, those things are awesome. Just, yeah, I don't know, basic stuff that makes sense that we never wondered why it was never done before.
I just jam a freaking hose on stuff. Like a swivel fitting, I'm like, ooh, that looks expensive.
Yeah, it's definitely expensive. I mean, but it just looks so nice and blends so well. Like, it just looks great when everything flows together. Like, I'm OCD like that, so I like my stuff to be nice and clean and flow.
Right. Well, you're doing a good job. Keep going. Keep explaining. What else? Do they run electric fans ever?
Generally, no. So it depends. Like if we're talking comp car D1 level stuff, electric fans make sense. But in OEM kind of like street-based stuff, fans can generally be a reliability issue. Also, when you're running like your stock alternators, they can't generally produce enough amperage to run everything that they're doing, because these guys still have AC and stuff, right? AC is like what everyone wants in Japan. Summers are death, like Florida summers in Japan, really humid and gross. So everyone wants to keep AC and all that stuff. And yeah, it's kind of rare that you see thermos, but if people do use thermos, they grab the Prius thermos. That's a huge thing in Japan. They're
That's
really
weird.
strong CFM moving, and they're cheap. They're like $20 for a set of them.
You call fans thermos?
Thermo, yeah. Thermo fans.
Interesting.
That's the Australian thing, but
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's look at this car.
All right. So this one doesn't have an engine in it right now, I believe.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, I think that's the engine over there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at the car and then we'll go look at the engine.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm not sure. I think he runs BN Sports on this. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. So, but it's a 32. And it's a 4-door. I just got a 4-door. I used to be so against 4-doors. I used to say, like, on my channel that 4-doors don't count. They're not real Skylines. But I just started growing on them. Probably after my Chaser. I think that was a bit of influence. But yeah, this thing's great. He's got the style down pat.
Most of the Japanese ones. So this is a Japanese style?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I was gonna say, normally when I see Japanese Skylines, they have tiny rear tires. You know, like they run 215s, 235s.
Yeah, the old 4-lug stuff, right? Because they want like the Watanabes and stuff like that. There's definitely different styles. I mean, like the livery is like super Japanese to me. I love that. Super like late 90s.
Cool. So this is just Japanesey and we don't have to even talk about it then.
Yeah.
Do they run hydro handbrakes like that?
Street cars, well, that's the thing. It's starting to become really popular now.
Because they're taking it from like Western culture?
Yeah, so you got to understand, like, for just as much as it is for people in America, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, as they say. So, like, in Japan right now, there's a huge influx of people selling their Japanese cars to people who want to buy them in the States. And then they're importing things like Camaros, Mustangs, SRTs. Like, I literally go to Daikoku, PA. If you don't know, it's like a big car park where everyone meets, like, on the weekends and stuff. And it's now, like, a full line. Like, and every night, more and more are coming. There's like new Mustangs. Like, it's insane, actually.
Do they sell the Mustangs in Japan new, or are they importing
They have to be imported as a used car, so there has to be some mileage on them. Yeah.
Oh.
So
and it's pretty
stuff
easy
like
to
that.
import cars?
I believe the Japanese government did just change the rules to make it a bit harder because it was a big influx. But for the most part, it seems like it's pretty straightforward. Just like you guys, you know, bring them over here and stuff.
Let's go look at the engine real quick and talk about that. Does anybody drift BMWs like this over there?
No, dude, it's so hard to find a clean E36. And if you do, people want crazy money for them. They're all left-hand drive over there too, just about.
So how about this? Are they running crazy? Because one of the things I never see is aftermarket intake manifolds in Japan. Why is that? Just because only comp cars?
Yeah, like you got to realize, like in Japan, the cost of things is a lot more. People don't just pay for raw materials and bolt this on at home. They pay for a shop, and then they're paying for the branding. So, you know, if you say got a HKS titanium exhaust, the exhaust itself is identical to what you would buy at like a Muse, Tomei, all made in the same factory, not even in Japan, probably Taiwan or something. And it just has the branding logo on it. And yeah, if you buy it at HKS, it might be $2,800. Buy it at Tomei, it might be $1,800, but it's the same product. And people are very big on their branding, like, and sticking to that company no matter what. So like, you know, they stay with them forever and will pay pretty much whatever they want. And when it comes to intake manifolds, unless a Japanese company brings it out, a lot of people don't want to put it on their car. Like they're super big on sticking to Japanese companies and stuff. So there are people coming out, like, you know, putting this stuff on their car, but it's mainly like D1, FD kind of level 2 stuff.
So you wouldn't see this in a street car over there?
No, you'd be big baller.
Yeah.
You did that.
Oh,
Top
what
mount
else?
servos, once again, this is still kind of rare to see on street cars in Japan, but starting to become more popular.
Do people swap RB26s into 32 like 4-doors and stuff?
Yeah. All the time.
Are people still doing stuff with RB26s over there? Because they must be like $10,000 there.
Yeah, it's 10 grand for just like a basic, you know, RB26 right now on Yahoo Auctions, and I think 2JZs are pretty much around the same price. It's insane.
2JZs are 10 grand?
Yeah.
They haven't even caught up with that pricing here yet.
No, and it's insane.
So they're more expensive in Japan?
Yeah.
Why?
Just because everyone's trying to make money right now, and if they have a 2JZ lying around and they think that they can sell it for crazy money, it's actually mind-boggling sometimes. Like most of the stuff isn't even selling for that price. Like it'll stay up there for ages and never sell. But yeah, like I have heard of people paying upwards of 8 to 10 grand just
Weren't
for
we
full
just talking about, sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah.
Weren't we just talking at lunch about new Japanese Toyota selling long blocks for like 6 grand or 7 grand?
So a short block is like $2,800 to $3,200 depending on who you go with from Toyota. So that's not including a head. And then you could buy a head probably for like, you know, $2,000 to $2,500.
So it'd be more expensive to buy a used one, but you get a harness and you get a turbo and all the extra pieces.
Yeah, well, I mean, even then the harnesses are cut up anyways. So like you're going to be putting an aftermarket ECU in it. So it's not even worth it.
So why would people buy used motors for more than new?
Because they don't know.
Huh.
They just don't know. Like Toyota, I think only at the start of this year started reproducing them, so people just don't know yet. But yeah, it's really bizarre right now.
R154s have kind of been like that for a while. R154s you can buy brand new out of like a JZX 100 or 110 for $2,700, or you can buy a used garbage one for like $2,500. That makes no sense, and there's a huge discrepancy.
No sense whatsoever. Yeah, like I blew my trans recently in my Chaser at Ebisu, and to buy a new one, the cheapest I could find, like through someone who was like backdoor mates rates kind of stuff, was like, you know, nearly $3,200
for a new one.
Yeah.
Oh, they went up.
New. They've gone up a lot. And then so the move right now is everyone, when they blow their trans, is they just go spend $3,000 on the dog box stuff, and they get the transmission rebuilt with that, and then you have a bulletproof R154. That's what I'm pretty much doing. So I just bought that as.
Is it all the gears will be straight cut? Or
yeah, all straight
five.
Cut. Yeah, and you can change the ratios and all that stuff. It's actually really good. I think
it's just going to be real loud.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a missile, so I'll have a bulletproof trans. It's good. You can move it around from car to car. Whatever happens.
All we do is break the third gear synchro, and then it just doesn't shift anymore. We don't actually break the gears.
No, yeah, I've sheared gears coming down the hill at Nishi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What gear? Second?
Coming over the hill in third, clutch kick, and then when I downshifted into second, blew the whole thing off.
Oh.
Yeah,
that sounds like shift forks are falling apart or something.
Something
like
went wrong.
Breaking.
It was a JZX 110 box too, so I was like, aren't they supposed to be stronger? But I don't know.
I think the synchros are just better.
Yeah, probably.
Interesting.
But I was a bit sad about that. It was a bit expensive. Hurt the wallet.
Yeah. Oh, this place was full of more cars earlier. Let's go look at this car real quick before we finish up. Or if I think of anything.
Or it's 240. This thing's so nice.
Is this Japan style?
I don't think so. Like, I mean, yes and no. Like the 326 wing's kind of nice and stuff like that, but
I drove this to the track yesterday.
Yeah, obviously it's a 246 left-hand drive.
Oh, actually, I do have some good questions about this. In Japan, do people swap in CDO9 350Z boxes?
Yeah, it's starting to become really popular.
Huh.
Yeah.
When did that become popular? Because in America, it became popular like 8 years ago.
About the same time, I feel. Like, I think Japan's been doing the RB25 transmission the most. They have like a really kind of janky adapter that like bolts it on and stuff like that. But the biggest issue with those swaps is you can't have a gap in the transmission. So everyone cuts the bell housing, there's that little gap there. You have to weld that or make it look like it's welded to pass shuck-in, which is like street registration inspection that happens every 2 years. So you can put JB Weld in there and then paint it silver so it looks like it's sealed, just so you can pass, because for some reason like they think that that's dangerous, that there's a disconnect there and like a gap.
And they can actually see it?
Yeah, and they can see it. But so that's the only main issue of the CDO9, is that's how people normally do that swap. And then the shifter location was a bit of an issue with cutting and stuff. But now that you've got all these companies manufacturing parts that bring the shifter into the factory location and all that stuff, people are doing it way more. The RB swap was done for as long as I can remember. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, like it's weird. Japan's kind of catching up with a lot of stuff that America and like Australia's been doing now, and it's like really making this interesting kind of like blend of stuff there. It's super cool.
So this turbo setup, it's on a MAF. Got a zip tie. Looks like it has some type of Greddy type piping or something like that.
Yep.
It's kind of more of what you described before.
Yeah. So this is, I believe, RS Enthalpy, if I said that right.
Yeah, RS Enthalpy Martin over there.
Yeah. So he does the whole chip and tune and the remapping of the EPROMs and stuff, and that's literally what this is. The only difference is no one in Japan uses Z32 maps anymore. They all use the R35 ones from the GTRs. And yeah, I ran it in my S15 for 3 years, non-stop beating on, never had a problem. The only thing that sucks is obviously if you blow a coupler or stuff, you're shut down. You can't do anything. So like that's where Lynx and Haltex is so good, because you can still drive, finish a run, and then get off and fix it. But yeah, like this is totally like Japan tuner right here, just like how everything's done in this. And I think Adam has done that on purpose, because this works, and he's really learned that if it works, don't mess with it. And that's also a very big Japanese way of thinking it. It's like that's why they still do the bolt-on stuff to this day, because it's like, hey, it works, why change that? Like, why mess with that?
This car sounded like it has solid subframe bushings and diff mounts and like everything. Is that a Japan thing too?
Yeah.
And everybody just drives around like on the street, just like rah, just grinding.
Yeah, that's just the cool thing. It's like if you have a car like that, that's just like how you present yourself. Like this is what I'm about, and so like people respect that. Japan's so big on like respect and that kind of stuff. So,
but it like really cuts down on the comfort level, and those guys drive their cars everywhere.
Yeah, they sacrifice on it. But most people also have dailies. They have the track car on the daily, but then people that struggle with money will only have this. So there's multiple different groups of people like that, right?
All right. Do they do like little custom pieces like this for heat shielding and stuff?
Yep.
So a lot of the same kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Would they use a tile blow-off valve, or would they always use like a Greddy or HKS?
Yeah, see, most people don't even run bulbs in Japan.
Really?
They want the turbo surge, yeah. If they do have a blow-off valve, it'll be, like a Blitz or a HKS, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I mean, a lot of the tuners, I know Okachon doesn't put a bulb on any of these cars. I love that sound though, I have to agree. I mean, sometimes some turbos, like the older tech, didn't like it, but the new stuff's all designed for it.
What's the downside of doing that?
This is kind of controversial, but like some people, like back in the old days, people would say it would damage the turbo, but that was old turbo technology. New turbo technology, it's not a problem. The only kind of surging is when you're boosting at the same time you've got a surge problem. That means something's broken and wrong, and that'll damage your turbo. The only other thing is people say that it means that when you come back on throttle, it takes longer. But it's so like small in time that I don't think it really matters. Because if you think about it, the air's being pushed back out through the blades, it slows it back down, and then if you come back on throttle again, it's going to spin back up. That's what people say, but I don't know if it's been proven or not. It's just internet talk, But yeah, I mean,
how about splitters and stuff?
Yeah, huge, big. Like everyone does that kind of stuff.
Do they run splitters just for style, or do they run like this is a style splitter?
Style,
okay,
for sure.
Like on my car, it's a big plywood one mounted securely to the frame rail, so I total my car when I hit anything.
Yeah, no, like mainly style. The only guys that do that for a reason are time attack guys, and they're never driving their car on the street. That's a track only car, stays on the truck.
Mine is so that my front end is like supported by a piece of plywood, and cones and like anything I hit does not damage the bumper, and it doesn't get sucked under the car.
Oh, no one does that, I don't think.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool idea. I never thought about that. That's a brilliant, because like the cones get stuck in there sometimes.
You can go like stand on my splitter, and like I'm not going to stand on Adam's car, but yeah, it just keeps the car together.
It sounds like Kaido Racer kind of front like lip.
No, it just sticks out like that far, but it's so that you can just like set the bumper down and just like a couple zip ties, and then you just don't have to worry about, because I mean, I'm sure you've seen a million people tap something and it just completely destroys the bumper. The bumper goes under the car. It's a mess because you're
together, I bet.
Yeah, you're on a road course and then you look like a freaking idiot. And have you ever done that where like arrow comes off on a road course and you don't know whether to get out and pick it up or drive off? It's in the middle of the track and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
You feel like an idiot.
I feel like if this is what I mean, the whole thought of that is so that your bumper comes off, it doesn't like tweak your frame with it at the same time. But if everything's more secured and bolted in, gives you more of a great chance of twisting something, right?
Tweak your frame? You mean damage the frame of the car?
Yeah, so like your radiator support. So like I know like on the S15, that is so easy to damage, and if your bumper isn't held on with like a couple zip ties so it just falls off, if it's all held together and bolted in, it'll twist and mangle that up, and then your headlights will never fit flush in like the
I never thought about that. I've never mounted something well enough to destroy a core support. It just falls off.
Yeah, so I like to keep my bumpers like on there mounted good, but just with zip ties, so that if I do hit something, it pops off really easy, and that way it doesn't destroy like my radiator support.
All right. Is anybody run dimple dyes and stuff? It's kind of hard to see.
Only comp cars. I only see this in comp cars. I never see this in street.
Would they ever run anti-intrusion bars?
The bolt-on ones, and
they have bolt-on anti-intrusion.
Bolt-on ones, yeah.
Weird. Only in Japan.
Generally, yeah, like 1 or 2 bar bolt-on ones for street cars. For comp cars, yeah. But I never see them do the, like the ones that come, the NASCAR style ones that come into the door casing. Those I love because, tall, big guys like us, legs and stuff, like this is too close.
Yeah.
Like, and if you need a big chair, like that just isn't going to work. Like you can even see like his chair's butted up against that. Because of this, there's only certain chairs that will work with that. So, yeah.
We Americans typically just gut the doors, do big bars out, and do things like that because our cars become trailer queens. And then we would have to like, one of the big things, I don't know if you've ever owned a car like that with NASCAR bars, you immediately lose the window.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a really big deal. You don't want to lose the window. You can push, a few inches into it, but as soon as you start going too far, there's no room for anything in there. And it becomes a trailer only car.
Yep.
And man, that's tough.
It is, yeah.
I'm rebuilding an Ebisu car right now in America, like a V8 one. And I had to cut the door bars out, redo the door bars, and then put doors with windows back in, because if it's going to be stored outside of Ebisu, you would demolish a car not having windows there.
Oh, for sure.
It would not go well.
Not at all. especially with how humid it is in Japan. I'm sure you've
Yeah.
gone back there and found your car full of like mushrooms and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
happens,
yeah. And it's just green all over.
yeah, the mildew.
All right, what else? Do Americans or do Japanese ever take American taillights over there and put them in as a joke?
Oh yeah,
240SX
that's a huge
taillights?
thing. Like I said, the grass is greener on the other side, so they think that is cool as hell.
That is hilarious.
I love this. He's got the new Gen 326 wing with the imprint here.
Oh,
Really nice. They did this because of all the people that were copying their stuff.
they're going to start copying that. I just laughed. Those look like little tiny AccuSumps with wheels. If you know what an AccuSump looks like.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
All right.
Cool.
Well, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Which do you like better, Japanese, Australian, or American drifting?
Oh, they're so different. I honestly like blending them all together. I think there's a like I love the drift community and I love the culture in all aspects, and I think every one of them could learn from each other about something.
What can we learn from the Australian community? Oh, actually, no, this is a perfect question. First of all, you laughed at that. You'll just be like, RBs. Australians do RBs better. I'm rambling for a second. Did the Japanese steal any Australian ideas? Because I feel like they focus on the United States when they steal ideas. Do they steal like Australian ideas, or the Australians just don't have ideas like that?
I think definitely the RB30, like what they were trying to do in Japan, was stolen from Australia. If you don't know, the RB30 came from Australia, right?
Yep.
And like OS Geekin and Tomei were making, they started trying to cast their own RB30 blocks, and they was making adapter plates, so you'd need 2 head gaskets to like jam in there just to bring it up to a higher deck size and stuff. And then like the drag racing scene, like it's kind of weird. Like, I mean, I haven't really gotten too much into it, but I've heard stories of like, Japanese shops and things like that trying to, match what Australia's done, but just could never figure it out. But I think that's just because Australian culture, like when they fall in love with something like the RB30, which I think was mainly because Holden took that engine for their, if you don't know, Holden's an Australian car manufacturer. They have a reputation of, taking other like manufacturers' parts, putting it together, making a car and selling it as their own. When they took that motor for their production car, the Commodore, and then you had, the Nissan R31, that was like pretty much like a staple car. Like you guys have like Vic Crowns, right, in America. That's like something everyone knows about. That's pretty much what the Holden Commodore and the 31 Skyline was in Australia. And everyone fell in love with that engine. It made stupid easy power with a turbo, even in the NA form. Like, they're just so good. And I think Australians got really on that burnout culture. They love like stupid loud noise, burnouts, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, they just really jumped into it, want to go faster and faster and faster.
And you think that's the best thing that the Australians brought to drifting?
I think what Australians brought to drifting is kind of more of the like, it's hard because like look at like Luke Fink, right? He's really brought this kind of like unprofessional way to professional drifting, if you know what I'm saying. Like I'm not having a dig at him. I love Luke and stuff like that. But
No,
like,
have a dig at him.
Look at him. No, he's a great dude. But like look at everything that Luke does. He's just there to have fun, and he wants to make money from doing what he loves, you know, and also just wants to drive with everyone and have fun, and obviously make competitive drifting more entertaining. And I think we could learn a lot from that. Like so many people like get behind the business side of things way too much and care too much and get political and all that stuff. But like, yeah, I like what Luke Fink does in that aspect of things, and really shows like that you can do all of that. And then like there's things like in America where I love how professional it is, and it's like, let's get that, and then add Japan, but let's not go too far over either of the lines. Like let's find that happy medium. You know what I mean? I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say? Anything you want to talk about? Shout out, do questions from me?
The only thing I have to say is, dude, this event from LZ was amazing. I've never experienced a drift event that felt like that. Driving with friends, competing for a car, like free tires from Nitto, like, I don't know. What did you think about that? Like, I have not enjoyed myself that much at a drift event in a very long time. I think it was just so good.
I think that we're at a weird point in drift culture and everything else where the YouTubers have an incredible amount of power and draw and sponsor support and everything else. And someone like Adam can bring that stuff together, and Adam has a lot of vision and thinks large. For instance, like branding trash cans with logos. And like if you saw the giant banner on the side of his trailer, which was literally the whole side of this building. It was so big. Bringing the tires together where everybody got free tires and we were simply entertainers. We didn't pay entry fees. We didn't buy tires. We were expected to entertain and do our fun thing. And like we did ride-alongs for the crowd. We were just the clowns in the circus, and I really enjoyed that. It took a lot of like stress off of us.
It didn't feel like a competition to me. I wasn't
felt
upset
like a competition
losing.
to me.
I mean, well, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I couldn't be mad losing because they're my friends, and it's like, dude, go kill it. You deserved it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, like, you know, no, what do you call it? Protests or anything like that. It was just like having fun and putting on a show and showing people how good it is. You know? Yeah, I don't know.
No, I really enjoyed it. I think of, this is a perfect thing. You're too young for this. I was going to say, Adam is one of the few people that could bring back like the big X type experience.
100%.
And I was talking to Andy over at Power Vehicles, and I was saying we should get the big YouTubers. This was before obviously COVID and all that stuff. But I was like, we should convince Kumakubo to let us host that. And he could control it and do everything, but we would have a bunch of big YouTubers blow it up and do signing and autographs and bring in a bunch of companies to do booths and everything, and see if we could bring back like the Big X vibe. Because myself and you and everybody else probably missed it by 10 years in Japan, and that would be so cool to experience. Because Ebisu has its own whole mind and like soul and body and everything else that you don't get anywhere else on the planet.
That's right.
And combining that with the new way of YouTuber culture and fans and everything else.
So
like
cool.
the YouTubers have more fans than the professional drivers now.
Yeah, 100%.
So you could take the authenticity of the professional drivers, the fans of they're fans too, but you know, the fans of the YouTubers and stuff, and bring it all together and put on a huge event, I think. And man, it's just different. The YouTuber vibe is so different. The fans line up for the YouTubers more than they do the professional drivers.
Yeah.
The fans get because the YouTubers are so much more like approachable and have like this intimate relationship with these spectators, where the spectators think they're their friends, and like if you're a YouTuber and you're a daily vlogger, you're literally inside that spectator's house every day with them, talking to them, involving them in them, selling them merch that they're wearing so they feel like they're part of the team. Which I think that Taniguchi or Arito or all these guys are so high level that they always felt, or even Von Gen Jr., they feel like they're so high level that they're not approachable and they're not your friends. And when they're doing something, it looks like they're promoting sponsors and videos, and like that's why they're there, or competing. They're not there to like hang out with you in your living room and be your friend and like talk to you and like hold your hand and take you to go look at, you know, skylines in a field, or you know, things. How do you say that? When I see a vlogger doing something, I'm pointing the camera at myself, I'm vlogging. When I see a vlogger doing something, they're taking you on an adventure and taking you somewhere and sharing an experience with you. And when you're watching a professional driver at a race, you're there just to watch them because their sponsors are promoting them, and that's not a bad thing. That's what they need to do. But like, you don't watch a NASCAR driver at home. He doesn't share anything with you. He's not a person to you. Like, you're just a seat in like somewhere to pay for his NASCAR experience. So Tide pays to be on his NASCAR. So anyways, that's what I meant. So it's a totally different vibe, and I'm rambling at that YouTuber show than it is at like a professional race.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I mean, there's definitely like I mean, Adam, I mean, he's really shown that so well, you know, like look what he's done, and he's performed pretty well. I think, like, all things considered, like he's done really well in FD. And I think it was really cool to see, like, you know, initially everyone was like, oh great, the YouTuber, you know, gets a free like ticket and all that kind of stuff, but he held his own out there, and I think like that was super encouraging. He killed it, like, to be honest, and really proud of him. But yeah, no, like, it's just so interesting how, like you said, like, you know, companies these days will get more out of partnering and doing a commercial contract with an influencer than a driver. And I think, you know, a lot of Japanese drivers are starting to pick up on that too, and that they're starting to really try and, you know, get their social media happening. Like, you're seeing a lot of the OGs now starting YouTube channels. Kechi Tsuchiya did it, Okachan's done it, even Yokoi's done it. Like, all those guys are now like starting to get into that. Yeah, they've all started channels. It's so weird. So like, I got Okachan to start his channel, and then within the span of a month, they all started popping up. It like started this whole trend. It's incredible.
That's awesome.
But yeah, all the OGs.
They need to be translated somehow, though.
Yeah, they're working on
thing.
it. They're trying to get like translators and all that sorted out, but obviously that's like another whole cost thing. And
they need one translator that does all their channels and makes it cost effective.
Yeah, that would be cool. there's definitely companies out there that do it. But like,
or just to properly subtitle it so they don't have to have multiple videos and stuff. That'd be amazing.
It probably wouldn't be an issue, but YouTube took away that, where fans who were like could
sub it
because people taking advantage of it, and using it for the wrong thing. But yeah, like that would have made it so much easier because people doing it for free who loved them. But yeah, I'm sure like eventually it'll all get sorted out. But it's just cool to see those guys like starting to understand the movement and where everyone's going and what they need to do to get up with it. And it's cool to see what they're doing behind the scenes in the shops and how they're making their cars make the events and all that stuff. So I think that's cool.
I can just see old men drifters faxing each other about their YouTube channels.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, do it.
Faxing in Japan is still like the biggest thing. So if you want to place an order, so like let's say you want to order some AN line fittings, there's a company in Japan called Kunokunis. They only just recently got a web store and you could do it through that. But if you're a company, you can't go through the online store. You have to fax them. You can't email them. You have to fax them. 326, right? I used to help a company in Australia sell their aero kits. Every order had to be faxed. You'd send them an order via email. They go, okay, cool. Can you fax that to me?
It's insanity.
Insane.
That's one of the ways
faxed.
when you think about, like we were just talking about technology in cars, they're so slow moving, the Japanese. It's one of the reasons I love them.
Yep.
But like, oh my God, it's so frustrating.
Banking in Japan has not been updated in 25 years. I can't do a transfer for more than 10 grand. I can't just go to an ATM. At nighttime, the ATM's closed down and they charge you a fee to use and get cash out after like 9 p.m. It is stupid. Some banks won't even do international transfers or allow them. Online banking isn't even really that much of a thing. Like it's stupid. You have a cash book, you put it in the machine and it prints out all your transactions.
Why are they so bad at everything? Just traditional, it takes forever?
Yeah, I really don't understand why they've done that. Like it's all a big issue right now because the bank's technology is so old and all the computers and servers and the hard drives have all been failing. So banking, like the biggest bank in Japan has been like everything shut down. No one could access any money or anything for like 48 hours. Like all these issues keep happening and the government's like, all right, something has to change now. We have to get up to date. Like 25, 35 years left in the dark. It's bad.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's just weird things like that in Japan that just haven't changed. And like you said, there's a reason. That's a reason why I love Japan, like in certain aspects, but then other aspects it should not have been left behind.
All right, very last question. What are you going to do in the next 5 years?
5 years? Oh,
What's going to keep you excited to be in drifting, or what's
I
the
want
next
to buy a
big
mountain.
A mountain? And
I want to buy like a mountain in Nagoya and make my own toge track and everything, make it official and have it so that anyone and everyone can come out and have a big time. Like this.
Is that possible?
Like an LZ? Yes, it is. Like an LZ compound, but on a freaking mountain in Nagoya. No restrictions, no problems, and just everyone can drive, have fun, make content, visit, whatever. Yeah. That's like
I want to go to that.
And I just want to see like less drama. I think is it like I think the car community is definitely always involved in that in some way. I think you can agree with that too, Aaron. And like it would just be so nice to see more people getting along with each other, and you don't have to like one another.
What's the car drama? I missed it all.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to bring
I'm not
anything
online,
up, but like just like you don't.
You mean you don't have to bring it up? Just like YouTuber stuff, you mean, or like racing, or
just anything. Like everyone has these little niches and groups and cliques and stuff like that, and like that's okay. Like you don't have to be friends with everyone, but like why bring that into something we all love and enjoy and make it feel sour? Like rocking up to an event and wanting to drive and learn about drifting, but then have like a group of people that don't like you talk crap about you on the sideline, and you hear about it all coming back to you about how badly you performed out there, but it was your first track day. Like, why are you doing that? Like, more people getting into the sport is going to make it a better sport and a bigger sport for everyone to enjoy. If you just love on everyone and encourage them and help them, like, it's just going to make it so much better. You don't have to like that person, but you don't have to go and like, jump on Facebook and talk crap about them, tell them how bad they were. Like, it's not cool. Yeah, I don't know. That's
where
my
did
two
the
cents.
internet touch you?
Where did the internet touch me? Everywhere. There isn't a place that the internet hasn't touched me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing an interview. Boom.
Love you,
We
Aaron.
will go drive together at Ebisu again.
Sure.
And I want to go over to see what he's talking about, this mountain he's going to buy. I want to go drifting in Japan on a mountain.
No one knows about that yet. No one knows about that, but...
I've been toge drifting like up in the mountains before, but not like, as a spectator. And it looks so much fun to get to go do that on a nightly basis and not get in trouble. But I don't have the balls. I don't have a car over there that's a street car, so I haven't ever experienced that. So if somebody just bought a mountain, I could do it without going to jail.
What we need to do next time you come is we'll get you to Gunsai Toge.
Okay.
You'll love that.
I would love to go.
Yeah.
Does that mean like I can drive?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, full event during the day, but it's a Toge event.
Oh wait, is that the?
Yeah, the one from Hot Version, like you see all the time.
The bicycle one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. When can we go?
Whenever you're next there, we'll make it happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
I absolutely want to do
we'll
that.
rent it out.
I need to bring over my V8 car to that. That'd be hilarious. I assume it's teeny tiny. I'd be like rolling a freaking V8 car through. That would be funny.